The Hole. It's a place nobody likes to go to, you know. Well, some people might, but most people don't like going there. You start counting, especially if you're in there a long time, you start counting the holes in the wall. Some people talk to bugs and spiders, and some people just stare out the little narrow window. It's like a little slit. All day I had a cellie that would stare out. I don't know what he was staring at, but he would stare out. Some people get mad and start yelling, screaming, kicking on the door. Some people start hearing voices. But I sometimes looked at it as a break from the drama that was going on in the yard. It doesn't mean that it's safe in the hole, that you can relax, but there's less of it. You know, there's not as much going on. But I did 4 months once, and man, I was glad to get out of there.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
But this is about a guy. I wasn't even going to tell this story. Something happened to him in the hole, and I knew the guy, but I wasn't going to tell the story because one, I knew the guy. Two, it's not something I experienced, so it's coming from other sources, and I really don't know the truth to it, you know. So once again, we're talking about South Central Correctional Center. I know people just driving by think of it as just another prison, but that place is corrupt. It's called the Wild Wild West. Some people call it the Wild Wild West. It's gotten real bad, especially since I left. Some people say it's like a friend of mine that did time with me at Missouri State Penitentiary told me it's just as bad, if not worse, than Missouri State Penitentiary, and I find that hard to believe, but he has no reason to lie to me. But according to my friend and another guy I talked to, this guy, we'll call him David, goes to a hole. I think he had 10 days he had to do in the hole. And while he's down there, supposedly, I don't know how they know this, his cellie got him one night and laid the pipe to him by force. They said when he came out of the hole, he was changed. He wasn't the same person. The only way I can figure out that they could have known this is if the other guy was going around bragging about it, talking about it. But anyway, David was changed. Wasn't hard to talk to nobody. Had this. They said he either looked depressed and down, or he looked angry, and this was all the time. Even some COs, they said, I'd ask him if everything was all right, and he wouldn't say nothing. But if that's true, what happened to him, that just goes to show that it can happen anywhere. You know, and even if the COs had known about this, I doubt if anything would have happened. You know, he's not the type person to tell. He's what we call solid in prison. You know, convict. But it just shows it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter how tough you are, how stand-up you are. It can happen to anybody. But anyway, David, one day, wakes up, has him a cup of coffee, instant coffee, you know. I'm glad I don't have to drink that no more. Doesn't say much to his cellie. Of course, since he got out of the hole, he wasn't saying much to anybody. And goes out and stands in front of the housing unit. And he's just looking and watching. They had a movement. He goes back in, takes his cup back in. They see him come back out in the front of the housing unit. And they had the yard. They can go into the yard. And he goes onto the yard, walks right up to this guy, and just starts stabbing him. And screaming. Yelling obscenities, calling him names, telling him, just, it was just anger, they said, just over and over. Even when the COs ran there and grabbed him and everything, he's trying to fight him off. He's still trying to get, the guy's laying there, you know, and he's still trying to get to him. He's kicking at him. He's trying to get away from the COs. And they took him to the hole. Now, I've said in other videos that things like this, like grape, let's use that word so YouTube would be happy, is it doesn't happen often, you know, or it didn't when I was in prison. Maybe that's changed now. But I asked these people, how do you know? And they said, that's just the word coming out of the hole. How do you know that happened to him? And they said, that's just the word coming out of the hole. And besides, what would make him change like that? Coming out, you know, he used to be laughing, joking, and everything, and he comes out of the hole and he's depressed and he's changing, he's angry and everything. I said, well, the hole can do that itself to you. And they said, yeah, but the word is, they said, that's not like him at all. You know that. And it's not. It wasn't like him. So even the guy he had attacked, that guy was probably out there, wasn't even expecting it. And dude came up to him and did that to him, you know, started stabbing him. And if what happened to him actually happened to him, I do not blame him for doing that. I do not blame him at all. But anyway, they never saw him again. But I want people to understand that anything can happen to anybody anytime in prison. Prison is not a place to be. And if you think that, if you want more stories like this, let me know. If you want more stories about the corruption and things going on at South Central Correctional Center, let me know, because I got a couple friends in there call me from time to time and tell me how bad it's gotten. Anyway, leave a comment, and if you're new and you like this type of content, subscribe, and I thank you for watching. Bye.